guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video I decided to do a tack up and ride with me. So there's Sandra being cute. I started off going down to the area where all the liveries have their own little area to grab my saddle pad and Sandra's ear bonnet for the day's ride. I also wanted to apologise in advance that my GoPro angle is really bad in this video, and I'm sorry, but I just don't want to refilm it. It's kind of alright in some parts of the video, but anyway, I started off by going into Sandra's stable to groom her. I don't tie her up because she hates being tied up. She'd much rather have freedom to move about. So there she is, smelling my grooming stuff. And I start off by picking her feet out. She's really good with having her feet done now. I just pick them out into the skip, and I use this as an opportunity just to check that her feet are all okay. There's no problems, I guess. I only showed doing 2 feet because I thought it would be too boring to do all 4, but here's one of her back feet being done. Then I started brushing through her tail, and yeah, I'm sorry, the GoPro angle is so bad here. You literally can't see what I'm doing, but hey ho. So yeah, I'm brushing that through, and then I also brush through her mane, and I do this every time I ride her because she's got a really thick mane and tail, so it does need brushing. Yeah, this is me just doing her mane. Some of it has been rubbed out at the base, so we're applying coconut oil to it to help it grow at the minute. Then I'm just grabbing her a treat. I actually meant to do this straight after I picked her feet out. She gets a treat after having her feet done because she used to hate having her feet picked out, so now we give her a treat every time. It's like positive reinforcement. Anyway, now I'm just brushing her over with a dandy brush. She still has a winter coat at the moment. She's molting at the moment, so hopefully it'll be all out soon. And then I follow up brushing her legs with a magic brush, because I find that that's a lot easier to get the caked on mud off her legs, because she has been getting a bit mucky in the field recently. As you can see, she absolutely loves a good brush. So yeah, there's me just brushing her legs. She was being really difficult on this day and moving around. Normally she does stand still, but there she is. She knows that she's naughty. But yeah.
You're moving so much. Move it. Yeah. Fly around today, yeah.
So then I just went ahead and put her head collar on, mainly because when I go and get her tack, she normally turns around and tries to leave, not let you put the bridle on. So I just put the head collar on so that she can't run away. But I also need to brush some of the mud on her face, and she doesn't necessarily like having that done. So she'll stick her head up in the air, so it's just easier to have her head collar on.
Done now.
Then I went and grabbed her tack, which I didn't show in this video because the GoPro angle was so rubbish that there was just no point. Sandra tried to escape her stable. And then I started by putting on her bridle. There's my dad talking to his friend. So I'm just putting the reins over her head. This is her bitless bridle that she's having on today. It is the orbitless noseband, and then it's just like mixed up bits from a couple different bridles. I think the reins are from one bridle, and then the rest is from another bridle, and she also has a brow band, which I think is from Shire's, if I'm not mistaken. So I just put that all on, do up all the straps. I did also put on her ears, which I didn't show because the GoPro angle was basically just the ceiling, so there was no point showing you guys that. And then I start putting her saddle on. She's wearing this black glittery saddle pad from Bow Equestrian, trying to escape the stable. And then her saddle, which I put on next, is from our local saddler. Her girth at the moment is the Shire's Contour Anti-Chafe girth. Anti-Chafe? Is it chaff or chafe? I don't know. Girth, and she also has the Shire's Super Fleece girth sleeve on as well. And then her stirrups, she has Steuben stirrup leathers and composite lightweight stirrups. So that is her little tack setup. Pretty basic. She's not in a martingale anymore. She was in a martingale, but I decided that she doesn't ride as nice in it, so she goes without it now, and she's much happier, I think. But yeah, here I am. I'll just let you guys watch me take forever to tack up. But yeah, appreciate this saddle pad. It's so nice. We bought this at Your Horse Live, and it's honestly so pretty. You can't really see its full beauty unless you're in the light, and you can see it all glittery and really nice. But yeah, I love this saddle. After her saddle is done, I then put on her boots, which she just wears for jumping, which obviously we're not doing at the moment, and pole work. These are the Shire's Armour tendon boots, I think. They're really good quality for the price. Cassandra doesn't really need boots most of the time, she just wears them for certain things. So I really like these boots. I wish I could have got them in brown though, but they didn't have them in brown when I bought them, so yeah. Anyway, here's me adjusting her ears and then getting her out of her stable, ready to go for our ride. And she's looking very enthusiastic, as you can tell. So once we're in the school, I'm just putting her reins over her head, which she always puts her head down for, which is so cute. Pulling her stirrups down and putting her girth up.
No, like mud.
You can see my stirrups now, which I absolutely love. These are like they're so much nicer to ride in than regular like heavy stirrups. They just make you feel more lightweight in the saddle, which I really like. I'm just taking her up to the mounting block and getting on her. My lad's holding my stirrup for me. And yeah, then we can start our ride. So we started off with just walking around, letting her walk loosely, doing a few halt transitions, make sure she was listening. And I did also walk her over the pole exercise that we were doing that day, which I'd already set up before we came in the school, just to get her used to it so that she didn't have a shock when we went over it in trot and canter later on, because she's that sort of horse that you have to take her over everything so that she can see stuff. So yeah, here she is just walking over it. And I obviously don't show it in the video, but she walked over it in all directions, pretty much, I think, to make sure that she just knew what she was doing, I guess. And then I think we pick up trot, and we just had a nice trot round on both reins, getting her nice and long and loose at first, and then trying to collect her a bit more. I wasn't too worried about her head in this ride, I mean. Mainly because she was bitless for the first time in a long time, and I wasn't really focusing on that in this ride. I was more focused on the actual exercise that we were doing. So I did also some trot to halt transitions, again, just to make sure that she was listening and responsive. And we did also trot through the exercise a few times to make sure, again, she was familiar with it and comfortable with it. And obviously here's us trotting on the other rein, so we go both ways and work her in evenly. I didn't obviously show all of it because it would just be boring, me trotting around school. But yeah, here's us trotting over the poles up the centre line. We came up both directions and we did them diagonally as well. And yeah, she was going really well at this point. So then I think I started to introduce the actual exercise itself. My bad, I actually lied. We actually had a canter round on each rein just to get her completely warmed up, I guess, and make sure that she was not too wild, which she wasn't. I did want to just point out before this video starts, at the moment we're really working on her corners. She's been a bit cheeky recently and has been sort of motorbiking around her corners quite a lot, which I was working on in a flat work lesson I had the other day. This day I wasn't really focusing on it, to be honest. I was more focused on her straightness, her transitions, and the exercise that we were doing, so please do ignore some of our really awful corners. I can get her in them, but on this day this was just a quick warm-up canter, so I kind of just let her do her thing, which I probably shouldn't have, but there we go. Little disclaimer. My bad. So then we started the exercise itself. I started by taking her in both directions over the poles and then the triangle, and then asking for canter in the triangle. And the first time she did it actually really nicely. Not quite straight as I'd have wanted, but she went into a nice canter transition and she did cut her corners a bit, but that's alright. I then came around and did it again in the other direction, again going over the poles first in trot, because I thought asking for canter would be a bit more difficult over those, if you guys know what I mean. So then the first time I attempted it the other way, which I'm doing here, my steering was really bad. I made my turn too early and she just kind of didn't know where she was going and went around the poles. So that was fine, that was my fault. So I think we end up coming again and we had a much nicer approach this time. And she went over and she actually picked up canter over the poles, which was really good because that was a bit more difficult than doing it not over the poles. And then she did a nice little canter around here. And then I think we do it again in the opposite direction this time. I had to shout at my dad to get out of my way, which I cut out of the video so you don't have to hear it. And yeah, we came over, and then this transition, she also went in really nicely, straight over the poles. I think that's a little bit more difficult for them to work out where their legs are going when they're directly over poles and trying to strike from the right leg as well. So I was really pleased that she got that nicely. At this point, I forgot to film on my GoPro, but after we'd gone over all the poles in every direction, we decided to do that whole exercise as a continuous sort of movement. So this was the first one, which she struck off really nicely, and our corners weren't too bad on this bit. We then came straight round again and did the same exercise in the other direction, but this time going over the canter poles, and she struck off nicely and came all the way around, and then we had a canter around the school before we then came back to the pole in the other direction. So here we are coming back round again, and we were quite nice and straight on this one. I was very pleased, and she struck off on the right leg again. I think once she knew what she was doing with this exercise, she got the hang of it straight away. And then to finish off, we came over this one last time and she went nicely again. It was a little bit late, that last transition, a bit later than I'd have liked it, but still she was quite tired by the end of this. We'd gone over the whole exercise more times than I'd actually shown you guys. There she is cutting out her corner again and me doing nothing about it apparently. So, but yeah, she did really well. We did do this exercise more times than I've showed on video, but it was just the same thing over and over, so I didn't really want to show you guys. But she did a really good job, and I definitely was really pleased with how she went at the end and went over everything. So yeah, then we finished off and we had a nice long walk off. She basically followed my dad around the school for about 5-10 minutes just to cool off. And then this is me just dismounting, very exciting stuff. I looked like I kind of fell then, I didn't, trust me guys. And then I'm just taking her over to the door. She actually wasn't too hot and sweaty after this, but she definitely done a decent amount of work. I think we spent about 45 minutes riding on this day, which I was quite pleased with. And then we're just taking her back to her stable now. She didn't want to come outside at first. And she always does this thing when we come out of school where she looks into the field where the foal is because she wants a foal. Maybe one day, Sandra. Anyway, taking her back to her stable. And then I'm just taking off her ears and her bridle. There's my dad helping fix the hose. And then I'm just taking off her saddle. I think this takes a really long time because I struggle to like undo the velcros in the saddle pad. But anyway, I did also just take off her girth sleeve today because it needed a wash. You can see in this clip how fluffy she still is. Like, this clip was done about 12 weeks ago, at least 12 weeks ago, and she's still got it. Like, it's kind of crazy, but it is finally coming out now, her hair, thank God. Here I am again, struggling with the Velcro to try and get it undone, and then just taking the saddle off, and also taking her boots off. Obviously, great GoPro angle here, that's absolutely brilliant. My dad taking the saddle and dropping the saddle pad on the floor, great work. And then I'm just putting her boots away in her boot bag that she has hung up under her peg, and putting her saddle cover on to protect her precious saddle.
That needs to be washed. Oh, I just gave her a treat. This? Yeah. That's why I took it off today. Quite sweaty. You ready?
Then here I am struggling to put her rug on. She has a sweet itch rug and it's like the most difficult thing. It's like a two-man job. Me and my dad both have to pull it over. But look at her, she's an absolute angel having it put on. I don't normally struggle this much to put it on, but today I did. But there we go.
You're in.
She's in it now, and it was all twisted up on this day. Really annoying, but managed to sort that out. Honestly, this rug is from, I don't know how you say it, Boots or Boots, I'm not sure. This is a really good sweet itch rug. If your horse is itchy or has sweet itch, I would highly recommend. It wasn't too expensive either, and it's not ripped yet. And Sandra is the horse that will rip her rugs like within a day of having them. So I'm really pleased with this rug so far. And we've also washed it as well, and it washed like it came out brand new after we washed it, just in the washing machine at home. So it's definitely a good rug. There's my dad looking a bit gormless.
You ready?
And then I'm just popping her fly mask on.
Yeah.
This one, I don't even know where it's from. She has two from Shires, which are really good though. This one, I think it's a weather beater one actually, which matches her rug because it's grey as well. She looks like a space lady. And then I'm just putting her head collar on. She did also get treats after this. I didn't show on video, but she got 2 carrots as her treats after her ride. She's very entitled and she always knows that she gets
There we go, you can go now. Absolutely.
So then I'm just taking her up to her field, which she's never that excited about, to be honest. Like, she doesn't really care. I think she grabbed a snack on the way up here. She prefers the nice long grass, obviously. She's pretty greedy. But the field that she's on at the moment hasn't got too much grass, obviously. We don't want to risk her getting too fat at the moment. But anyway, here she is coming up the field, looking at the horses.
Can you see your friends?
Looking at Drummer and
Look,
Harvey,
you see
I
Drummer
think I was
over there,
pointing
Dad?
at. Yeah,
And Harvey.
And Sandra
at the
doesn't
top.
care
You
about.
see Harvey at the top?
She just cares about food. And then finally, here's my dad opening the gate for me, and I'm just going to stick her out in the field. Some days she does a little trot or even a canter off into the distance. Today she just didn't. She just walked away. It's not very interesting. I think she'd have a roll. I don't know if I caught it on GoPro though, I'm not sure. But anyway, thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it wasn't too boring for you. Obviously at the moment can't really jump or anything like that because of lockdown and whatnot, so I'm sorry, but it is what it is, isn't it? Anyway, I've got a few more video ideas coming up in the next week or two, so keep your eyes peeled for those, and make sure if you haven't already to subscribe and comment down below anything you feel like.